So is there such a thing as bad form? Yes. Are there bad exercises? That's a different question. I still think the answer is yes. But bad form is still just context. And good form versus bad form cannot be communicated, at least from my point of view, until we say for what is the purpose of why you're doing said form in the first place. Something that is not part of this discussion, but it's a real component, is I'm not saying bad form is automatically going to injure you. We know this. We know that moving with significant load outside of neutral, number one, doesn't always hurt somebody even if they are overpowered. And number two, we can easily train to create an irrelevance of these known injury mechanisms. For instance, we know when your knee buckles in, it is a known, the evidence would say clearly that is an injury mechanism for some type of ligamentous injury at the knee. Well, if I know that my sport or activity is going to expose me to that a lot, and I want to decrease my risk, I want to speak to what the research is telling me, I can just develop connective tissue in a very reliable way. So then what may have looked like a bad exercise, if I was trying to develop strength, power, speed, relative work capacity, where my knee buckling in, I would say that's a bad idea. But if I have this general preparation checkbox for connective tissue specifically to minimize the impact of these valgus forces, then a bad exercise isn't a bad exercise anymore. To suggest that what is okay in this case for connective tissue development is also okay for a maximal effort squat, that'd be ridiculous. Of course it's bad exercise and it's bad form to be training that way. The other thing is when you see somebody, let's say, pull big wheels and their back starts to round, they start to look up, and then I'm suggesting that that's not the form that I would want to coach. No one is doing that intentionally when they have maximal loads. If you're doing it intentionally, you're using 50, 40, 30%, and you're training for connective tissue. Well, no, I feel stronger when I'm... Yeah, you feel stronger because there's a proprioceptive value to said connective tissue outside of neutral. But when you see somebody that you maybe look up to or somebody that's much more stronger or well adapted for this big deadlift, nobody is trying to do those things. Is there some technique where you can get a little round in your thoracic? Yeah, rounding in your thoracic doesn't typically hurt people. Rounding in your lumbar and having relative flexibility through the lumbar spine instead of your hips absolutely does hurt somebody. So it doesn't mean you get hurt every single time, and it doesn't mean that there's not a reason to go a different direction. But no one is doing a big bench press and then starts to throw their arms out like this because that's what they were trying to do. So then to say, oh, well, it's okay to bench this way because so-and-so didn't hurt. Like, they weren't trying to do that. This is quite laughable to suggest that there's no such thing as bad form. There maybe a more comfortable way to say bad form would be higher cost. And sometimes that cost is failure. That's bad form. If I arch my back and throw my neck back, I'm approximating the posterior portions of my zygapophyseal joints, and I'm putting 100% of load on figuratively less than 100% of the joint. That's a risk. To suggest that it's not is not consistent with the laws of biology and physics. I'm not saying that you automatically have pain or injury when you do this. But that would clearly be an example of bad form in the neck. We talked about the knee. You could talk about it anywhere.